Hey, what's good, y'all? It's Michael Rashad. This is our first episode, man. Creators. Today we are here with none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Smooth Vega. Huge opportunity creator in the city, man. He does a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and really thankful to have you as our first guest, man.
I appreciate it, man. I'm excited to be here. I know that me and you had spoken earlier this week about, coming down here and filming some content in regards to just like entrepreneurship and ownership, and one thing led to another, and you're like, oh, by the way, I'm working on the series.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let's just do it. So here we are. I'm excited, man.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for coming out, man. I thought you were, a perfect first guest. So really, man, I wanted to bring you out today, man. A lot of people know you as, as an artist, and but before, deeper than all that, man, you're a huge like creator in a sense of opportunities. You do a lot of stuff for artists and behind the scenes, marketing, promotion, even like big time celebrities. You created opportunities for them out here. So I wanted to kind of touch on that first, since we talking about being creators. So how did you get into that as far as booking big time artists?
I think it's been kind of like an evolution, right? So obviously, I've known you since you were an artist as well,
right.
like, and we've grown and we've evolved, and as we've evolved and like really kind of like start kind of seeing like what works for us and what doesn't work for us. I just think early on I realized I had a knack for marketing and promoting. I didn't really realize what I was doing then, though. I just did it like naturally.
Yeah.
I was always just given whatever. Like I would tell people, if you give me a stick, I'll make fire. So like it was just that entrepreneurship spirit, right? Like
yeah.
I made the best out of what I had. At one point I didn't have a car. All I had was a computer. So, I just obsessed with being on the computer and marketing on there. But in terms of just kind of getting into the promoter world and really like realizing like this is, what I'm gonna do, or this is, the path I'm gonna take career-wise. I mean, you know how it was being a recording artist, and especially being an indie artist, and being a local artist. It's difficult to get opportunities,
Yeah.
and it's difficult to get the respect that we feel that we deserve, because we all think highly of ourselves in terms of talent.
Yeah,
so it gets frustrating. We're like, fuck, man, ain't nobody looking out for us. Nobody's giving us opportunities. So I just got fed up. I got fed up, and I started just doing my own thing, and I had early success.
Yeah.
Well, I had early success. I did Total Pandemonium back in 2007, and it just took off. And then from there, I was like, all right. And I wrestled with the idea of like whether or not I wanted to be a promoter or not, like, because the word promoter just had such a negative stigma to it. Like that shit just made me want to take a shower. Like it just felt like real dirty,
What about it? What about the word? Back the word promoter. What do you feel like was a bad stigma for promoters?
Well, I think in general, first and foremost, like it's not what I wanted to do.
Right.
Right. And so I think sometimes you don't choose your career chooses you. Right. Like I would have never envisioned you shooting videos, but why'd you start shooting videos?
Here we are, man.
Yeah.
It just happened, man.
It happened because of similar, right? You were like, I don't want to continuously pay somebody to do my video work when I know I could do it better.
Definitely.
You didn't feel like you were getting the respect that you deserved as a client.
Right.
So I didn't feel like I was getting the respect that I deserved. But some people take initiative, and there's a gift to initiative.
Yeah.
So I think in general, when we talk about like the word promoter, for one, there had never been anybody like me before me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was easy for me not to want to be labeled a promoter, because all the promoters that we had seen up to that point, there wasn't really any real solid representation, at least not where I'm from. But I think that also created the opportunity to be the change that you want to see.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be different, and I wanted to create opportunities that I didn't have shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, that's
big, man. That's huge. I think one thing that I never knew about you for the longest was your talent in like web designs, and even like setting up like EPKs for artists, where you're really good at like graphics and setting up web designs too. It's like you have so many hats, man. Like you're more than just a promoter. So how did you kind of get into web designs and EPKs for artists?
I think it's all gonna kind of go back to the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I didn't have a lot of money whenever I was younger, so like I just learned to basically be as resourceful as I can be. So I think when you talk about graphic design, at the time back in the early 2000s, the only graphic designer that everybody knew to go to was a graphic company called Nonstop Graphics, which by the way they're still around.
Okay.
But they did all the big covers for all the big artists, including mine. But man, if you wanted to get artwork from those guys, it was $750 to $1,500 for full album artwork, and in some cases even more. So I was like, man, I don't have that type of money.
Yeah.
And I scrapped it up to do it, but I've been to do it continuously. Like, I was like,
Keep it consistent.
So I just learned it, man. I just took the initiative, started fucking around on the internet, and then, eventually I learned Photoshop, and I just got good at it. But it's kind of the same thing, like, I always watched and observed from a different perspective, and I guess I was always a student. I just didn't realize it. Like, I would watch the behind the music, and I would watch, like, some of the major artists, specifically during the MySpace era, and I would see how, like, they had their MySpace page set up, or I'd see their album covers, and I was like, man, I want my shit to look like Eminem's. I want my shit to look like Lil Wayne. I don't want it to look like, no disrespect, but I didn't want it to look like any of the guys from the area.
Yeah, you want it to look local.
So I just tried to emulate to the best of my capabilities, and then as I started doing that, I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at this. And then I started finding myself doing it for other people. And then what I realized, even now, is that most people don't really know how to do these things. Like, a lot of people don't know how to, like, manage their social media accounts. A lot of people don't, and I'm talking about business owners included, right?
Definitely.
I don't know, like, a lot of people don't know, like, the process to get, like, a graphic done, a logo done, and they'd rather just pay you to do it. Even if you tell them, hey, this is how you do it.
Right.
Here, I'd rather you do it for me.
Right.
So there started becoming opportunities within that, but because I come from being an independent artist, and I come from that background of, like, not having money and doing it to kind of, like, not only create a revenue stream for me, but also help other people, like, I felt for so long I was underpaid. Even now, like, I feel like at times I still find myself when, I don't really like doing it as much now, but, like, if somebody hits me up like, yo, can you do a graphic for me? I'm like, if it's the homie, I'm like, man, just chuck me $30. I'm gonna go buy me some Whataburger real quick and feed my kids. When I should be charging $150, you know what I mean? Because it's not really even worth my time at this point to do that. But I always go back to the time when I didn't have money and I needed help and I just wanted to be affordable. But now it's like you have to set that value too, because people will take advantage of you if you don't.
And that was kind of the next question I wanted to kind of touch on was as a creator, as an established guy like yourself. How does an entrepreneur, and we're talking to all entrepreneurs of all kinds, how does an entrepreneur go about setting their value? At what point in their portfolio, would you, increase prices or set your value?
I think it's all based on interpretation, but it's also based on experience, right? Like, I think you have to know internally when the time is right. Like, I think for so long I suffered from, like, imposter syndrome where I didn't see myself the way that everybody else saw me. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that saw me as, like, a super successful person, but I'm still in the trenches, so I'm like, I never even took time to realize that people were viewing me that way. I had a general understanding of it, and I knew I was different, but I never saw myself as, like, this big, bad, successful person. Because I was so used to being doubted throughout the course of my career, especially early on. Like, nobody thought I'd be the one here. So I always had that hunger to prove myself. But you talk about setting value. I think the more that you become resourceful, the more that you have an understanding of what you bring to the table, and the more confidence that you gain within your own skin of being able to say, you know what, I bring the table to the table, or I bring this much to the table. You'll know that. Like, internally, you'll know that. And that's whenever you start establishing that. And at the same time, not only will you know that, but the people around you will let you know that.
Definitely.
Because then you start becoming more in demand and people start asking questions. And some of the stuff that seems basic to you is advanced to somebody else. You know what I mean? So it's like everything starts moving like the Matrix. It's fast paced to everybody else, but it's slow motion to us. I'm serious. Like, even the content creation aspect of it. But I was sharing this with you the other day. I was like, man, I remember I was working with an artist early on in his career, and they gave him a recording contract. And they said, here, and he asked me to review the agreement. So I review the agreement, and the agreement, it says, we're giving you a $50,000 recording budget. Right? And on paper, that looks great. It's a big number, 50.
On paper, you're like, man, I want to spend it all.
Yeah, it's $50,000. But really what they were doing, because they were producers, and they also owned their own studio, they basically set the value and said, hey, we're going to advance you all this work, and we're going to value it at $50,000. And basically, the production that doesn't technically cost them anything to make, they're going to put it under this $50,000. The studio that they obviously pay to get built or whatever, it technically does not cost them anything to record them.
Right.
But they're going to put that in the budget, and then basically after this money is recouped, then we can split whatever the profit margin is going to be. But they set the value at that.
Right.
And I didn't really comprehend it as much then because I'm like, well, that's not really a recording budget because you're not actually advancing anything, but they're advancing work.
Yeah.
And so, hey, it's like if you say I'm going to sign an artist to
$20,000.
a 20,000, a music video deal, and they're like, okay, well, how many videos is that? Well, that's 4 videos, and I'm gonna value them at 5,000 a piece.
Right,
and in exchange, I'm gonna keep all your earnings until I recoup my $20,000.
Right.
And then we could do a split, and then you basically own the music up to that point. But you start realizing like, oh, this is how a lot of this works, and determining value is so important because you have to it's up to us. It's up to us to determine that, right? And like I said, the public will kind of let you know that too, but internally you'll be like, okay, you know what? I can't do this for this low because you also see people are willing to spend money.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of whether or not they want to spend it with you.
Right.
Because if they don't spend it with you, they're gonna spend it with somebody else.
Definitely.
So you gotta really plant your feet and be like, hey, you know what? This is what I'm worth. If you want my time, this is what it's going to cost. And they're either going to respect it or not.
And I mean, I totally agree with that because even from, my side of content creation, for me, it was about my portfolio. For me, it was about, when I first started, I was doing videos for free. And then at some point in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to start charging, see if I can get $100 for videos.
Yeah.
And I slowly kind of worked my way up to, $750, now, like $1,700 for a full.
Yeah. Well, even going back to it, I mean, you used to record people.
Yeah.
And so, whenever you were recording your own music, you would record your own music, and then you realize, oh, hold on, I'm developing a skill set, and I'm developing a trait, and I'm becoming resourceful.
Yeah.
So, we talk about the social media stuff. How did I get involved into managing social media accounts, which a lot of people don't know, to the extent of what I do, and how much I actually do, and how many national recording artists that I do website maintenance for and social media management for. I learned that in 2004. I was doing social media marketing before it was even a thing, and so it's easy, it's second nature. But I realized that there's people that I know that are independent business owners that are paying agencies $1,500 a month, and I'm like, you're paying them for that, 2 posts a week. You know what I'm saying? And it's not even
effective.
It's not even effective, but because they don't want to do it, and these people aren't offering any content creation within that. But I can't be mad at them for getting their money.
Yeah.
All I could do is well, damn, hold up. My value is a lot. I'm undervaluing myself, but I think it's also me being compassionate and not always looking at it as a business. And you have to look at this as a business because for us, when we think about the days that we were hungry and we didn't have the money to shoot a $1,700 video, you became the guy that's shooting the video now.
Right.
And you're like, well, shit, you still can relate to when you see a young Michael Rashad, you're like, I still have
people that I work with, people that I give Godfather rates to, stuff like that. No matter how big I get, but to me it was more about the relationships. That was one thing I wanted artists to understand. It wasn't about, I didn't care if you were finna be next up or if you're the next up and coming rapper, because every rapper feels that way. And so, but one thing I wanted to touch on as well was what are some things that you feel made you an effective in marketing and promotion, stuff like that?
Man, you know what? I think that, bro, this is so crazy because I remember when I was in second grade. This is
going way back.
Yeah, this is when I was 7 years old. I don't know how or why. I always go back to this moment. I realized I was different from that point forward. Yeah. I had my whole entire class do a drawing contest, and I told everybody in my class I would give the winner 50 cents. 2 quarters, right? Yeah. And everybody in the class did it. And I just realized, oh shit, there was a leadership quality to that. But as you get older and you start realizing, my mind always worked that way. And I used to credit my father a lot for, inheriting his hustling gene. But as I got older, I realized my mom was the independent business owner. She was an entrepreneur. So I grew up in the independent owned business from the time that I was born to the time that it went out of business, which was around 11 or 12 years old. So I think it was always in me just to say, you know what, I looked at everything from a different perspective. And marketing, I kind of come from, I don't even want to say the old school version of marketing, because marketing is just about making people respond and react. Right? I say it all the time to people. Social media, simple concept. You're Geppetto, social media is Pinocchio. right? You control the narrative of what you want, but I've always been big on like slogans and using certain colors and just positioning product in a certain way. And I think that's the reason why I had success as an artist, and now I have success as a promoter.
Right.
And there's so many things within promotion that I could really dig deep into what like works for me and what doesn't work for me. And I don't think people understand like there's a science to it. There's an art to it.
Definitely science.
And like from a marketing perspective, I think you just first and foremost got to identify, identify everything around you. Like kind of survey the landscape and be like, okay, where do I fit in at? What can I do that hasn't been done? Because everything under the sun has been done, but like how can I do it in a way that's a little bit more unique? And maybe I don't do a 360 approach. Maybe I just do a 90-degree turn, and all of a sudden everything changes, right?
Stand out, yeah.
And you stand out, right? Because I think that's the one thing about like my company and anything that I've ever done with Premiere Live or Smooth Vega or anything just over the years, I've always just tried to do it different.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why I got different results, because people tend to just kind of emulate what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
So even whenever you talk about like my booking strategies and as a promoter, like I wanted to work with all the artists that nobody else was bringing to town. Yeah. And I wanted to go and find talent and do shows in venues and spaces that nobody else was doing them at, because that made me different.
Yeah.
And as a result, from a marketing perspective, it all kind of fueled this narrative like, yo, that's the guy.
Because you've been able to adapt lessons that you've learned and pretty much taught yourself as an artist. You've been able to adapt that into the man that you are now, and never really miss a beat, man. Like it seems like every time I see you, man, you always winning. You always at the show. You always got something going on.
Well,
man.
I think it's all on interpretation, because it's all how we product placement, right? Or like how we put the product in front of people. Like from a marketing perspective, my goal has always been like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm simply going to put my product in front of you, let you draw your own conclusions and keep it moving, right? I guess the simplest way for me to like summarize it is like, hey, they always say you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink it. My job is simply to get you to the water. Whether or not you drink it, hey, it's all good. Next horse, next horse, and keep it coming, because eventually you farm an audience. But even as a promoter, one thing that I'm very passionate about is like really like trying to find ways to be unique and also understanding like the areas of opportunities, right? I don't believe in using the word weaknesses. I just think everything's a room for opportunity.
Yeah.
I grew up heavily influenced by Vince McMahon. Like, it's no secret I'm a big pro wrestling fan, but I think a step further as far as like Vince McMahon, like he revolutionized pay-per-view. And it's on record, like the WWE in terms of a live touring brand, they're doing 200 to 250 shows a year.
Yeah.
And they have an average attendance of about 6,000 people. They're generating millions and millions and millions of dollars, and all they're doing is selling the same match to you month over month, week over week, day over day. It's the same fucking thing over and over and over again, but people are coming in record numbers. There's a science to that.
Yeah, that's not just luck.
That's not luck, especially doing it for, at this point, 40 plus years. You know what I'm saying? And you look at all the licensing, merchandising opportunities, the brand recognition that they have. It's a global brand. So to me, he's like the Mount Rushmore of all promoters, right? And as I studied that, I applied a lot of what I learned from pro wrestling to what I do on the music side. So like even the artwork, like I was telling you one time whenever I worked on the Central Popular flyer for the 3-6 Mafia show, I'm like, man, this flyer is badass. It's fucking unique. It's fucking great. I'm thinking that I just came up with one of the best concepts for a poster. And I look at the colors, like I'm looking at the colors, it's like neon green and pink, like, cause I study, like I'll Google like what colors get the most response rate, on social media, right?
That's deep, y'all.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then I was like looking at it, and the fucking next day WWE drops their SummerSlam logo, their flyer and their logo, same exact colors, same fucking colors, and I'm like, damn, I'm this guy to that degree, and I didn't even realize it. Not even him necessarily, but the brand has that much influence on me where I'll come up with a slogan, you know what I'm saying? And then next day I'll watch wrestling, it's the same slogan. I have this takeover series that I'm doing right now in these small markets. And, I created this whole thing where I'm going to start going to these small markets and doing shows. And, Amarillo takeover, the Odessa takeover, the El Paso takeover. Like some of the markets that don't get those shows, I'm going to start hitting those places. And I'm thinking, oh, man, I got this great idea. Amarillo
Yeah.
takeover. The next day I'm watching WWE, NXT takeover. I'm like, fuck, and like,
Yeah.
but I'm not ashamed to say that I learned from the greats, and I think you have to be a great student in order to be a great teacher, and also to be effective in whatever field you're in.
Definitely.
But from a promoter perspective, I think there's just a lot of things that play a part in having success, not only from a marketing perspective, but also from a promoter perspective as well.
Right. So how do you feel about, let's say I'm an artist, right? Let's
Yeah.
say I'm coming to you and I say, Smooth Vega, I got $100,000 budget, right?
Yeah.
I want to spend it all now. I want to take this 100,000 and put it all into marketing. And how would you, how would you kind of halt that, or like if I was coming to you, looking for management or some sort, what's the science to how can you take $100,000 budget? Like, how would you?
Yeah, I guess I think that's almost like doing A&R for hire, right? Like,
Yeah.
or like a manager for hire work or whatever. First things first, if you come to me with a $100,000 budget, like I'm probably gonna do my due diligence and my research to be like, is the money clean? Not that I necessarily,
Right.
not that I necessarily,
There ain't no blood money,
yeah,
bro.
not necessarily that I
It could
care.
be.
Not that to say that it's gonna prevent me from working with you,
Yeah.
but I just kind of want to get a better understanding, and then obviously having a clear idea of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, right? Because people will say, well, I just want to grow. I just want to see success. That's subjective.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you want to go from 10,000 followers to 11,000 followers? Because that's growth.
Yeah.
But, you have to have a clear, definitive, explanation as to, what your goals are, right?
Right.
Anybody
Where
could
the
go,
money's
yeah,
going.
anybody could go 100 miles per hour. But if you don't know where you're going, eventually you're going to run out of gas. So you have to have a clear end goal, and we'll develop a process to get to the end goal. But first and foremost, we have to know what the end goal is.
Yeah.
And I think, that's how you hold people accountable. Like, managing, measuring work is such a big, important part to all of this. But when you give me access to a budget, first things first, I'm not going to advise you to maximize your budget on one play. I would probably not even encourage you to use a quarter of that budget until you see somewhat of a return off the initial investment.
Yeah.
Because then if you burn out your whole entire investment, you have nothing to fall back on, right?
So you say you maybe spend about 25K and see what works.
Yeah, and even a quarter might be a lot, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, what's the goal, right? I think for me, because I have so much, resources and so many people, not even so many people, I have so much experience in touring. That's something I'm automatically gonna look at. I'm gonna be like, well, you have a $100,000 budget. You're an artist. We have to make all of this believable. We don't want it to look like it's forced. We don't want it to look like it's not meant to look the way that,
Right.
we got to make this, we got to really craft this movement out.
Right.
But, if I can go and book a national artist for 4 dates, and do multiple dates with them, or even more dates, and only use a quarter of the budget and have you be tour support, not only does that allow you to be work to that audience as you're releasing new music, but it also allows us to make the money off the gate off of all those shows. So now we're able to at least see somewhat of a return, or possibly even profit off of that initial investment, rather than going in and just spending it and not seeing anything in return. See, this is one thing that I've learned about the promoter side, right? It's a very, very interesting way of looking at things, but I think I'm unique in the sense that there's this website called Groupon, right? Everybody knows what Groupon is.
Groupon, yeah.
And they used to reach out, and they still reach out. They have Groupon Live where they work with promoters, and they'll be like, hey, we'll sell your tickets on our website as a third-party site. They want their vendor fee off of the ticket, and then we'll give you this much on the ticket. Well, a lot of promoters I know, nah, I'll never work with Groupon. They're taking too much money out of it. And they've changed their format a little bit, but if you think about it, let's just say, for example, I allocate them 200 to 300 tickets, and the tickets, at full cost are valued at, $15,000. Let's just say it's a $50 ticket.
Yeah.
But we sell it on Groupon, and by us selling it on Groupon, they sell all 300. But if they sell all 300, they're gonna make their $4,000 to $5,000, and we're only gonna bring in $10,000, right? You're gonna be like, man, I'm forfeiting $5,000. That's a lot of money to forfeit. But again, this goes back to setting value. I'm setting the value on the ticket. I'm basing the ticket price off of what the guarantee is, what the venue cost is, what the cost is for, the promotion or whatever the case may be. I'm looking at it like, look, I can run that same $5,000 that I'm forfeiting into promotion, right? So let's just say I go and run a bunch of digital ads. I go run a billboard, flyers, posters, whatever, right? $5,000. Now, if I spend $5,000, there's not a guarantee I'm gonna see any conversion off those $5,000 dollars that I spend. Like, oh man, I ran $5,000 of radio advertisements, but there's no way to determine, whether or not those radio ads are effective, other than taking the time frame that they ran and kind of correlating it with ticket sales. But then, I mean, at that point, ticket sales go up the week of anyways.
Right.
So like, how effective is it? I'm looking at it like, if you do Groupon, at very least, they're giving you the money and you're seeing it in real time, right?
Right.
So it's the same thing with quantifying sales. Like, I was an employee of T-Mobile for like, prior to me going all the way in, like, self-employed, right? I was an employee of T-Mobile, and I was there whenever Jean Legere was the CEO, and he implemented the Un-carrier thing where he's like, I'm going to do everything different from all the other carriers. We're going to remove contracts. We're going to do this. It was just one big marketing plan to get more subscribers, because at the time they were number 4, and now they're number 2 in the whole entire country. They've surpassed AT&T, but the way they did it was they focused on quantifying sales. They're like, we're going to do 2 lines for, 120, 4 lines for 100, because all they were doing was trying to acquire growth. So whenever I do a show, even now, I think this year in specific, I've done it more than I've ever done it, from the festival to the Zero show to what I'm doing in Amarillo right now. I'm quantifying sales. I'm doing, 2 for 1 or whatever. Buy one, get one free.
You're setting the value, so it doesn't really, right.
But think about it. The money that I'm forfeiting, like whenever we did the 3-6 Mafia, I did first 100 tickets, buy one, get one free. They were $60. So that's $6,000 for the first 100 tickets that I would be making. But at full cost, that would be $12,000. So I'm forfeiting $6,000 in profit to get 100 people to buy tickets, which is really 200 attendees. But by me multiplying the amount of people that are buying tickets, I'm also multiplying the word of mouth. I'm multiplying the people that are
going to say, hey, I'm going to this show.
Yeah, the pass along rate. So to me, that's free marketing.
See, that's a different way of thinking that a lot of people don't.
Because everybody's looking at the conventional way of marketing, which is, let me go spend money on ads and do this. And it's like, there's, I was literally on the phone with somebody last night. It's all dependent on how and what you deem marketing and what you deem promotion, because there's digital promotion, there's radio promotion, there's social media influencer promotion. Now, like, if you have 150,000 followers and you post about my event, you might sell me more tickets than a radio ad now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the reality of the world that we're living in, but you have to have an understanding of how that works. So if I can somehow or another find a way to coexist and farm a group of influencers that I'm working with directly, that I'm like, hey, I'll give you free tickets to every event, post a flyer, or hey, I'll get you a photo with.
To pretty much market it for you.
Yeah, like, hey, I'll get you a photo with Juicy J. Come on, you know what I'm saying?
They're gonna tell all they people.
Yeah, man. So it's like, I think those are all the things that people need to really realize. It's like, you're setting the value. And what difference is, like, you forfeiting the 5 that you would be making in guaranteed sales from doing a buy one, get one, or doing this? Like, when, what difference would that be versus you running a digital ad that you don't know if you're going to see a return on?
Right.
You just don't know. And if you do, it certainly might not be to the same extent. So really, what makes more sense, right? Yeah. But it's just, you have to really understand that concept to really understand, like, how that works. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it makes total sense. I think it's a completely different way of thinking, just on how to market. Whatever. You know what it's called?
It's called direct to consumer. Because me and you could do mass promotion and mass marketing all day. That's the Hail Mary approach, where we're like, all right,
I'm gonna post this and hope.
I hope somebody catches it. Yeah. But this is like you going directly to consumer, direct to consumer. I know exactly what play I'm gonna run this route, hit this route, and you're gonna catch the ball right here. And if you really want to be technical, it's like, all right, Michael Rashad. He's shooting music videos right now, right? Do I go run an ad? Hey, I'm shooting music videos. I'm going to spend $1,000 on this ad. Or do I discount my video work and be like, hey, I'm doing a Black Friday promo. Videos today, only today, $600. You're more likely to get your money off of discounting the video than running a full-fledged ad. You know what I'm saying? And
I think that your way of thinking is just over a lot of people's heads.
Yeah, and honestly, man, I think when you think direct to consumer and you think about these strategies and these different things that have worked over the years, like, it wasn't always, like I told you, the imposter syndrome and, like, not always feeling comfortable. But, like, now I'm like I've worked with people in the last year and I'm like, oh, fuck. Like,
Yeah, you
I'm on some like fucking advanced calculus. These people still don't even know how to count. You know what I mean? I like these like in terms of the promoter world, especially. Like I'm like, oh, like we can't even really have a conversation because you're still trying to figure out the basics, right? And it's like you don't understand. Like not only by me quantifying sales and forfeiting profits here and there, like you're thinking short-term gratification versus long-term gratification. All these people are becoming a base and audience of like an email system and an email blast system, and that I can remarket to. You know what I'm saying? Like we're creating, new customers to become repeat customers, and to basically multiply future customers. Right. Like it's like a simple math. Like sometimes you just like you got to remember most businesses, they'll tell you take like 3 to 5 years before you actually break even, and then eventually see a profit margin. Yeah. And specifically in the show business, it's probably one of the fastest return businesses that you can get into, because if me and you say, hey, we're gonna drop 40 grand in the show today, you're like, all right, when's the show? What's in 90 days? So on day 91, we'll know what we made or we didn't make. You know what I mean? But
that's part of being an entrepreneur, though, taking risks, because at the end of the day, we never really know, like what the return is going to be. So I think that way of thinking, man, is like I've been saying, I think it's kind of way over a lot of people's head, man. But all right, so I know that got a little deep, man. Smooth Vega here, man. Creators, I really wanted to kind of, let's take a step away from the serious talk now, and I think we got a game that we want to play.
What's the game?
Yeah, we're gonna get straight to the game. Yeah. We're gonna have a little competition between me and Smooth Vega. We're gonna try to guess. What are we guessing? Sound?
You know what? We should put a bunch of like artists that we've worked with, and we're like, which one's the cheapest one?
Man, I can't if any celebrity you see out here in the city of Fort Worth, Texas, Dallas, this man is responsible. He's the reason probably why they here. Yeah, so I'm not even gonna compete with that.
I said which is not. I mean, like which was the one that lowballed you the worst?
Oh, the one that lowballed me. Oh, okay. Oh man. Nah, I ain't gonna do that.
Rapper 1, rapper 2, rapper 3. You're like, yeah, rapper 3.
I have a lot of people. Oh man, so yeah, we got a sound man. We good. We got some sounds. What we doing?
So we got camera sounds and all kinds of stuff. And what do y'all want to pick from? What kind of subject?
I mean, what are the subjects for us to pick from?
Actors.
Different like trying to guess quotes from movies
or guess the actor.
I want to do that one.
We do that.
That's gonna be tough. Come on, let's do it. We can do actors. We'll do 3.
We'll do 3.
Let's do 3, and whoever can get the most, we'll have a tiebreaker at the end, I guess. But
let's go.
We're not doing first. It ain't like Family Feud, right? We're not like first. All right, cool, bet. You ready, man? Look,
I'm ready.
we'll plug in some music.
Hopefully, they give me some actors from my era, because I don't watch movies.
Yeah, I don't know who he gonna pick. I'm a little afraid.
I'm like, Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, like man, come on, it gotta be some that we would, that we might know, man. It can't just be. So what we got first, man? You ready?
You ready?
Let's do it, man. Let's go.
It just happens naturally.
Damn, that's a hard one. I'm gonna say Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood. Can we play it one more time? Can I? Is that cheating, y'all?
I guess.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of no. Play it again.
All right. He said Clint Eastwood. Let me hear it one more time.
It just happens naturally.
Oh man, that
sounds
like
I know who it is.
You want to change it up?
No, I'm gonna stick to. I know I got it wrong, but I know who it is now.
I forgot his name, man, but that's the guy from I Want My Family. Fuck it, I'm gonna say Harrison Ford, man.
It's The Rock.
The Rock?
Yeah, it's The Rock.
See, wait a minute.
See,
I
heard it the second time.
Come on, man.
I heard it the second time.
So what? Are we going? So we both missed it, right?
Yeah,
all right.
Missed it. Come on, everybody should know this one right here.
Let's get it.
The hell was that?
Come on. Hey, y'all in the music industry, y'all should know this one.
What? What was that?
That don't give me nothing to work on. I'm gonna go with Kevin Hart. I'm gonna go with Kevin Hart.
What was that? Oh man, Rock. No.
Y'all want a hint?
No.
No hints.
I'm gonna go. I don't know, man. You can play that a million times, bro. I'm gonna say Shoot, man, I don't know.
You said music.
Denzel Washington.
This is music, man.
Oh, you said music. Oh, I'm thinking we still actors. Look, so you never.
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, he said Kevin Hart. And y'all didn't, yeah. They let you make it.
What, Ludacris?
Who was it, man? We had
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
What the fuck?
All right, last one, man. This for all the marbles, Vega. This for all the marbles, man. Somebody got to get it right. Pick an easy one, man. He say that they easy, but
It's the O&O.
yeah, it's 0-0 still. So if not, we're going to do a push-up contest.
Well, no, he gonna win. He trying to flex that he's been working out.
That's music.
He's gonna shut up. You've been working out.
Hey, man, look, you know.
Swole
I've
Patrol.
been in the gym, man. It does have me feeling amazing. I ain't gonna lie. I recommend it for anybody who's not in the gym. But like I tell my sound guy over here, man. You know, he's trying to get in shape, and I tell him round is a shape too. So as long as you keep working, man. Yeah, let's do it. This is the last one. This for all the marbles, Vega. Me and you, man.
Damn, do that one.
Do it one more time.
I can't get that.
Man, that sound like. Play it one more time. Oh, who is that, man? We know that. We know that,
I
man.
don't know that. I don't even know.
He said, no, I don't know that. I'm going to go with, it's music?
No. I'm just changing it back to,
Oh, my gosh. My sound, man. Who team you on, man? One Texas or, that's
yeah,
cold,
I'm
man.
on Texas.
One more time, bro. One more time for Texas. Actor? I don't know, bro. I'm just gonna say Will Smith.
Hell no, that ain't Will Smith.
I mean, look, man. We ain't got all day.
Damn, that's something. That ain't, man. I don't know who that is. I'm gonna say Ice Cube just for the hell of it.
Ice Cube. Who?
Mr. T.
Mr. T. Oh my. So me and Vega both missed everything.
Let's do one last one.
The sound guy wins.
Y'all.
Huh? Oh, you one last one? All right, come on. Let's do it and let's wrap it up, man.
One last one. Let's see if y'all can get this.
I'm sure Vega got another show to get to, man. So I know you got some business to get to, man. Come on, just play it. Let's see what we got. I'm gonna say Samuel Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson.
Tyrese.
Tyrese?
No.
Who is it? Who? All right, so
Tracy Morgan.
Big goose eggs.
Yeah.
Big goose eggs
Oh,
today, man. Sorry.
picked
Sorry.
up
That's all
You know,
good.
we're gonna have to. Nobody really won today, but it was still fun. Creators, man. I'm Michael Rashad, filmmaker, content creator. This is Smooth Vega, man. Any last words, man, for people watching?
Yeah, man. You know, just believe in yourself, man. I think, you know, if you apply yourself, you can accomplish anything. And that's just, you know, hopefully people can understand, like, the path that I've taken, the path that you've taken, and I'm sure the path that they eventually will take. It's not easy, but anything worth having doesn't come easy. You know what I'm saying? And that's anything in life. You know what I mean? So, like, I know, you know, being a minority, us being minority, just in general, like, it's a challenge. So, you know, embrace it, embrace the process, and, you know, I think you'll get to the end result.
All right, man. Well, y'all heard it here first, man. From the man, the myth, the legend, man. Smooth Vega. I'm Michael Rashad. Next time on Creators, man.